People were back. G-Dro reacting to insanity. That's not a good word for it. Just crazy shit. I ain't gonna front people out there. It is things was never meant to be seen on the internet, I think. A thing never meant to be found on camera. I forgot what the title was. A thing keep kissing bear because of the update. People out there, just show me some love for this video, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna make a long intro. I'm gonna get right into it, you feel me?
Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian college student, was looking for a break from her studies at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. In January 2013, she decided to embark on a solo trip along the California coast, hoping for an adventure and a change of pace. Her parents were understandably worried about her traveling alone, but Elisa assured them she'd check in daily to let them know she was safe. For the first few days, everything seemed fine. Elisa explored San Diego and then made her way to Los Angeles on January 26, 2013, where she checked into the Cecil Hotel, a place infamous for its dark history of crime and tragedy. But on January 31st, the day she was supposed to check out and head to Santa Cruz, Elisa's parents didn't hear from her. Concerned, they contacted the Los Angeles Police Department, or LAPD, to report her missing. As part of their investigation, the LAPD released surveillance footage from the Cecil Hotel.
Okay, everything looks normal.
The footage can still be found online.
That look kind of weird, I ain't gonna
one of
front.
the most disturbing
Left and right real
elevator
quick.
videos ever recorded. It shows Elisa inside the hotel elevator on the night she vanished, and the way she behaves is deeply unsettling. In the video, Elisa enters the elevator and presses all the floor buttons. She steps in and out of the elevator multiple times, peeking into the hallway as if she's either looking for someone or trying to avoid being seen. At one point, she re-enters the elevator, presses more buttons, and moves to different corners of the small space. Strangely, the elevator doors remain open throughout this entire sequence. Then things get even stranger. Elisa steps out of the elevator again and begins gesturing with her hands in an odd, almost otherworldly way. It's hard to describe. Her movements seem random but deliberate at the same time. No one else appears in the footage, and eventually, Elisa walks away. Only after she leaves do the elevator doors finally close.
She gotta be on drugs, I ain't
The
gonna
video
front.
sparked countless
That's pretty
theories
messed up.
online.
Their
Was
action's
she being
crazy.
followed? Was she hallucinating? Why didn't the elevator doors close while she was inside? For weeks after Elisa's disappearance, no one knew what had happened to her. Then on February 19th, 2013, nearly 3 weeks later, a maintenance worker at the Cecil Hotel made a horrifying discovery. Guests had been complaining about low water pressure and a strange taste in the tap water. When Santiago Lopez went to check the hotel's water tanks on the roof, he found Elisa Lam's lifeless body floating inside one of them. Her
Okay, I
body
did
was
not expect
discovered
that.
wearing the same clothes she had on in the elevator footage. This discovery only deepened the mystery. How did Elisa end up in the water tank? The roof was supposed to be off limits to guests, with locked doors and alarms in place. Yet somehow, Elisa made it up there. Even today, over a decade later, people continue to pore over every detail of this case, hoping to find some clue that might explain what really happened.
That was insane.
This footage was never meant to be uploaded.
I ain't gonna front. That whole thing, she had to been laced with some sort of drugs because she's in the elevator looking both ways and hiding and stuff, and that's messed up. I ain't gonna front. I feel bad for the family You know what I'm saying? But that's some wild shit, man. Let's keep watching. You know what I'm saying? How do you end up in the roof anyway? I thought the roofs be locked.
To YouTube. On April 26th, 2003, Aaron Ralston, an experienced climber, outdoorsman, and mechanical engineer, set out for a solo hiking trip. Leaving his home in Aspen, Colorado, he drove to Canyonlands National Park in Utah. The trip wasn't meticulously planned. It was more of a spontaneous decision after a cancelled mountaineering trip. Aaron didn't even leave a detailed itinerary behind, just casually telling his roommates one word, Utah. Armed with a 25-pound pack containing climbing gear, food, and water, he set off into the desert, unaware of the life-changing ordeal that awaited him. By mid-afternoon, Aaron had locked up his bike and descended into the narrow Slot Canyon. As he ventured deeper into the twisting walls of Blue John Canyon, he encountered a massive boulder wedged between two rock faces. To an experienced climber like him, it seemed like another obstacle to navigate. Aaron tested the boulder. It felt solid enough. Confident in his skills, he gripped the rock with his right hand and began lowering himself into a crevice below. And then everything went wrong. In an instant, the
Hold up,
stable
I've seen
boulder
this
shifted.
movie.
It wasn't a slow
Ain't this a
movement.
movie?
It was
When
sudden
the dude
and
cut his
violent.
arm off?
The 1,000-pound
In the
rock
rocks?
slammed into the canyon wall with terrifying force, pinning Aaron's right arm between two immovable surfaces.
Ah, shit.
The pain was immediate and excruciating. The crushing weight of the boulder smashed his bones and tore through flesh. Aaron was trapped.
What was it called, like 78 hours?
In a remote desert.
That's
canyon
bad.
with
74,
no one around
72,
to
some
help.
shit.
For 5 days, Aaron remained trapped. As his food and water disappeared, desperation set in. By the 5th day, he was forced to drink his own urine to survive. Believing death was inevitable, he carved his name, date of birth, and what he assumed would be his date of death into the canyon wall. He recorded farewell messages to his family, tapes never meant to be found.
My name's Aaron Ralston. My parents are down on Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado. Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them. Be sure of it. I would appreciate it.
When Aaron woke on the 6th day, his body was failing. His arm had begun to decompose. And in that moment of clarity, he understood the truth. Escape would only come through sacrifice. Using a dull multi-tool, he prepared to do the unthinkable.
It ripped part of the skin off of my thumb. Kind of like the way an old blister will rip away. It went in, I couldn't feel it of course, but it went in about a ½ inch, and then this hissing sound of gas, the decomposition gases releasing from inside my arm, my hand, where they'd been building up as my hand was decomposing over those 5 days.
In that instant, Ralston applied the cold logic of an engineer. He couldn't cut through bone, but he could break it.
And so I slammed my body against the opposite wall. I grabbed the backside of the boulder and even got my feet up to where I was standing halfway up the wall and grabbing the backside of the rock and humping my body over it until finally that bottom bone snapped.
Now came the final step. His blade was bent, dulled from days of trying to chip away at the boulder. Switching to a smaller knife that was still a little sharper, he began cutting his arm off.
I pulled out the smaller blade, and with the smaller blade then I actually started the amputation. The smaller one was still a little more sharp.
He sliced through skin and muscle until he exposed an artery, only then realizing he had forgotten to apply the tourniquet he had made days earlier from his water bottle lining.
I put the tourniquet on, and I was bleeding down the wall, and I severed the artery. And
The blade couldn't sever the tendons, so once again, Aaron had to improvise.
So I ended up taking the pliers side of the knife and using that to grab and twist and rip until the tendon gave way.
For nearly an hour, he endured unimaginable pain as he worked through each layer of his arm, until finally reaching the most excruciating part of the process.
And then I was looking at the nerve, this little strand of spaghetti running through my arm, and I had to take the knife and pry it up, and even just when I touched it, it felt like the fire of...
The pain was indescribable.
it burned all the way up my arm, and I took it again and lifted it up. I knew it was going to hurt, and I plucked it up and did in a motion like that, and that fire sensation redoubled and went all the way up to my shoulder.
With one final motion, Aaron severed the last connection. He was free.
And then, boom, and I wasn't even attached anymore, and I fell down like this, and I was free.
Even though Aaron had freed himself from the boulder's grip, his ordeal was far from over. Severely injured and weak from dehydration and blood loss, he still had to hike out of the canyon and find help. Summoning every ounce of strength left in him, Aaron began his trek back towards civilization. Eventually, he encountered a family hiking in the area who called for help.
The happiest moment of my life. And it's funny to think about it being... There will never be a more powerful experience for me. It was absolutely the greatest feeling to be given the chance to get out of here.
The tapes Aaron Ralston recorded were never meant for us. They were intended as his final words and farewell messages to his family. Yet today, they stand as a haunting reminder of the incredible power of human will, and of what we are capable of when survival is on the line. On a stormy Monday morning in Midlothian, Texas,
the amount of pain you would take to survive. I don't think anybody would cut their arm off to survive like that. I don't know. Damn. He explained the whole thing too. He said he was ripping out like freaking muscle tissue. He felt sharp pain up his arm. A fiery pain. Man, that whole thing sound like the worst pain in the freaking world. That's insane type of things. You know what I'm talking about? Let's keep watching. You know what I'm saying? This is insanity.
A fitness instructor's routine day turned into a haunting mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Terry Missy Bevers, a 45-year-old wife, mother, and fitness coach, was known for her energetic gladiator boot camps and her dedication to helping others stay fit. But on April 18, 2016, her life was tragically cut short in a crime that continues to baffle investigators. Missy was the type of person who wouldn't let anything stand in the way of her workouts or her students' progress. That morning, despite heavy thunderstorms rolling through Midlothian, she showed up at the Creekside Church of Christ around 4 a.m. to prepare for her 5 a.m. boot camp class. She had even posted an encouraging message on Facebook the night before. No excuses, you are gladiators. What Missy didn't know was that someone else had already arrived at the church. Someone with far darker intentions.
A person with a police uniform?
Security cameras inside the church captured eerie footage of an unidentified person walking through the hallways at 3:50 a.m., just minutes before Missy arrived. The figure was dressed in full police tactical gear, making it impossible to identify the person. Investigators noted the individual's distinctive gait, possibly a limp or unusual stride, as one of the most recognizable features. It has also been speculated that this may be a woman. The footage showed the suspect wandering the building, seemingly searching for something or someone. By the time Missy's students arrived for the workout 45 minutes later, they found her lifeless body. She had been brutally murdered, suffering puncture wounds to her head and chest. The crime scene raised more questions than answers. There were signs of forced entry into the church, and some rooms appeared to have been rummaged through. However, nothing was stolen. Investigators believe the killer staged the scene to make it look like a robbery gone wrong, but their true motive remains unknown. Despite extensive efforts by law enforcement, including analyzing the security footage, interviewing potential witnesses, and making public appeals for information, the case remains unsolved. The suspect's identity is still unknown, and their motive is a mystery. For now, Missy's family and friends continue to seek justice and hope that someday someone will come forward with information that can finally bring closure to this heartbreaking mystery. Until then, her memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her and in the determination to uncover the truth behind this crime. If you have any information about this case, please contact local authorities or Crime Stoppers. Let's hope one day justice will be served for Missy Bevers. On May 24, 2012, when Jun Lin, a 33-year-old international student from China, was last seen alive, surveillance cameras captured him entering an apartment building in Montreal with a man by the name of Luca Magnotta. This moment would later become a key piece of evidence in one of the most horrifying criminal cases in recent history. The surveillance cameras in Magnotta's building captured everything. At first, it showed Jun Lin entering with Magnotta, clearly alive and unaware of the grim fate awaiting him. Magnotta, however, didn't seem concerned about being noticed. In fact, he changed his outfit multiple times that night. At one point, he walked out of his apartment wearing what appeared to be the exact same yellow shirt Lin had been wearing just hours earlier.
You're still in your roommate's shirt now? Craziness.
On his way back in, he paused to check himself out in the mirrors in the lobby, seemingly unfazed by what had just occurred upstairs in his apartment. The footage continued to capture his movements throughout the night. For nearly 2 hours, Magnotta could be seen going back and forth from his apartment to the basement garbage bins. By 6 a.m., the building's janitor began his morning rounds, taking out the recycling and unknowingly handling some of the bags Magnotta had discarded earlier. At one point, he returned to the garbage bins but didn't throw anything away. He just looked around briefly before leaving. When he saw the bags he'd left earlier that morning were gone, he left. Fast forward to May 29, 2012. A package containing a human left foot arrived at the Conservative Party of Canada's headquarters. Another package containing a left hand was intercepted en route to the Liberal Party's office. Both packages were blood-stained and emitted a foul odor. That same day, a janitor made a horrifying discovery in a Montreal alley. A decomposing torso stuffed inside a suitcase. The suitcase had been sitting there since May 25th, but was initially overlooked because of an overflow of garbage in the area. Police quickly connected the dots. Human remains, bloodied clothing, and documents identifying Luca Magnotta as a suspect were found at the scene. Investigators also uncovered sharp and blunt instruments that were likely used in the crime. Luca Magnotta was officially sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Jun Lin, with eligibility for parole after 25 years. While justice was served in this case, it's hard not to feel a lingering sense of unease knowing that such horrors unfolded and were caught on camera in real life.
Man, that was insane. That shit was crazy, I ain't gonna front. That has been real footage we never meant to see, I guess. You know what I'm saying? People out there, show me some love for the video. Crazy clips of the video. The one clip was off of the movies, 72 hours, I think, when the dude got trapped in home. I did not know that was a real story, though. End of it all, yo. Peace. I want to hope the best you win.